Hi, my name's Lindy and welcome to this channel. My website is www.lindycowling.co.uk. My email is info@lindycowling.co.uk. And before I launch into the video, just an update for you. First of all, I'd like to personally thank the people that stepped up to the plate on my behalf and on this channel's behalf and have made donations over the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks. That appeal, if you like, for donations is still out there, but I want to sincerely thank those people, and you know who you are, that have made donations. It's really wonderful. I have taken the time to email personally and thank the people that did that as well, because it's not something I take for granted. So thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed, those of you that did that. And that appeal for donations is still out there at the moment because I'm very excited to be taking not just my own evolution but sharing that on this channel, and also taking out exclusive content to Patreon, etc. There are things to come, and I'm going to need, let's say, a few resources to be able to do that. Now, some of those resources are already falling into place. With things like professional editing and sound and film, and there are lots of things happening behind the scenes here, so I may not have been on camera, but there are lots of things going on behind the scenes, building to that end so that I can express, not just creatively, but express in a way that is putting a particular frequency across, but actually mixed with the energy of creativity as well. So I don't want to give too much away, but it's all connected with sound and film, and that will become evident within the next several weeks, because I'm already working on some stuff, and that will become apparent. And the stuff that I'm working on, there will be some free content, and there will be some content that you'll be invited to participate in, and you'll see what I mean when it all comes out. I don't want to give the game away yet, but I'm working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and you know, I'm also looking into, which is why I'm launching Patreon within the next week. I'd like to upgrade the equipment I'm using, etc., and film equipment, and I'm going to bring exclusive material that won't be seen on YouTube out to Patreon. So for those of you that don't understand what Patreon is, and don't understand what it is to be a patron, basically I will charge a nominal amount of money a month. You know, it won't be very much, but a nominal amount of money a month, that people will be invited to become patrons of my content on Patreon, and I will bring exclusive content out every week on there. I will still, that's for the patrons, I will still, and all of you are invited to do that. I suspect probably the first people that will probably be those that want to become patrons are those that stepped up to the plate and donated, and have been donating over the last few weeks. I suspect it will be those kind of people that will be the first off the block there, but let's see what happens there. But I will be working specifically and in an exclusive way for those patrons there, and that will be launched. I'll make another announcement, that will be launched within the week, I suspect within this coming week. Also, we'll be going out onto Instagram, putting some stuff out there. I may also take some film onto different streaming channels. I'm looking into that now. But I will still be found and putting stuff out on YouTube perhaps not quite as often as I was. We'll play it by ear there, I'm not sure yet. So I will still be providing, just as I have for the last 6 years, free content and coming up here and putting content out. But I will be doing particular kind of, let's say, working in particular ways and bringing out, you know, a bit of an expansion of stuff that will be available. Some of that will be payable and some of that won't, so there's going to be a mixture of things going on, but it's all part of the evolution of this channel. It's all part of the raising of that frequency. It's all part of the raising of my frequency. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes. So again, I want to thank all those people that have supported me up to now. It is hugely appreciated. Thank you. And to those of you that will be patrons and, you know, come onto Patreon with me within the next week or so, I'm excited about that, and I'm going to be working in doing some slightly different stuff on there, you know, stretching my wings, which I hope you'll be part of as well, you know, as well as stuff that you will recognise that I've been doing. You know, I'll be putting some different stuff out really specifically for you, and of course anyone can, you know, become a patron. So lots of change, lots of things happening. Also, on a personal note, there has been a lot of things going on change-wise this end. Originally I put the appeal out because my channel is getting so popular that people are having to wait longer and longer to get a session with me, and it's something that cannot be helped. It's almost like being, is a result of my own success, really, that there's only so many hours in a day and only so much energy that I can expend here, and people are wanting appointments and having to wait longer and longer, and because they're having to wait longer and longer, an average of 6 to 7 weeks a lot of the time, a lot of people haven't got the patience. Everybody in this society and culture wants everything tomorrow or wants everything yesterday and won't wait for 6 or 7 weeks, which is not an unusual amount of time for somebody that's on YouTube. You know, if they have sessions, sometimes you do have to wait. But that's, you know, it's getting to the point now where a lot of people are dropping off because they haven't waited. Well, they don't want to wait. They don't want to make the booking because they don't want to have to wait 6 or 7 weeks. And of course, I went all through this on this video a couple of weeks back when I put out the appeal there and said, as a result of that, suddenly my income stopped dead. And as I'm self-supported, you know, self-employed, all my income stopped dead, which was, you know, a great sign for me. Okay, I cannot continue to work in this way much longer. I have to make changes because, you know, like I say, there's no backup system there. So it was a great sign to me. Make changes, they're long overdue. Work in a different way. That doesn't mean I'm just reliant on one-to-one sessions. So one-to-one sessions are available already. I'm now booking for the last week of September. So you will again have to factor this in if you wish to work with me and have a session with me. There are only so many hours in the day. You know, you will have to wait. I work at my very best on your behalf and with you when you get a session with me. But what can I say? You know, I can't magic up hours. It's really important for all of us to have that balance in our life. I will not work 7 hours a week, you know, 24 hours a day. So that's as it is. And at the moment, I am continuing to provide one-to-one sessions at the moment. If it gets to a point where it's getting ridiculous and I can't actually provide one-to-ones at the moment, I'm going to have to work in the way that I'm you know, coming up with lots of new ideas anyway. I might have to work in a different way. So all I can ask is that you have some patience and understanding that I am, you know, only one person here with a tsunami of people wishing to spend time with me, working with my energy. And so to keep that accessibility and to keep this balance, you know, I'm having to put very strict boundaries in place, long overdue, which brings me on to the final thing I'm going to say before I launch into this video for you, because I'm going to bring out a video. That's why I come on here today, not just to talk about this. On a personal note, I've had a few health challenges rumbling away for a long time in my life, but as a result of hitting a particular point in my evolution, basically in this transitional phase, this embodying the light body phase of it, really, there's a lot of stuff kicked in, and not only are some of those things very uncomfortable, but it's kicked off, let's say, probably existing conditions that were already there have suddenly been highlighted. So as our consciousness raises and the body becomes more conscious, everything that's out of sync, or let's say unconscious stuff that's been old patterns and old dis-ease, if you like, is making itself known. So over the last 3 or 4 weeks particularly, but it's been going on for quite some time, but now it's got to a real crunch point now, a number, which I'm not going to go into all the details here, but a number of quite significant things health-wise have been, let's say, picked up with me through the conventional route all at the same time. Now, I am working on some of these things, of course, in my way, but also, you know, taking up some kind of assistance with that, looking into that. But as a result of all this going on, it is hugely impacting the amount of energy I have to expend. And I'm working in a job, in a role, which I've been working in for 20 years, that requires vast amounts of energy. Vast amounts of energy to be, let's say, channeled through me, vast amounts of energy to be transformed, you know, very much my body is used like a tuning fork, and to identify where people are at in their frequency and vibration, to recognize it, the way it seems to work with me is I kind of have to dip into it a little bit to identify it, to know what it is, and to help them with that, whether it's healing wise, whether it's channeling wise, whether it's mediumship wise, whatever level I'm working on, it has to be felt very much for me to identify it. So over a period of time, that can sometimes, over the amount of time I've been doing it, it can sometimes take its toll. And it requires a great deal of energy. I mean, any job requires energy, but when you're working specifically with energy, a lot of things are showing up. So part of what's going on with me is I'm absolutely exhausted as well. There's a few things going on. When I know 100% for sure what it all is, I you know, some of it I might share, but there's a number of things going on all at the same time here, some more serious than others. So although I'm still working, and I'm still doing the one-to-ones, and I'm still going to be on film, and if anything, I'm taking things up into a different realm, I am having very much to put me as number one here at the moment, and appreciate that, you know, I'm having to listen very, very hard to what is right for me, what is healthy for me, and that word again, balance, balance, balance. So some of the way I work will be changing. It's been long overdue, but you know, you'll still see me on here bringing out free content. You know, you'll be seeing some new stuff from me, and you know, there's hopefully a few exciting kind of collaborative works, you know, collaborations as well. So there are exciting things to come, and I'm looking forward to that. So I'm so grateful and appreciative of those of you that have been with me on this journey as long as you have. Nearly the 6 years I've been out on YouTube, and also I'm very grateful to the new ones of you that maybe have just found me. The subscribers and views on the channel continue to climb, so there are new people, you know, dropping in, let's say, every day. So, you know, hello to you if this is the first time we've met and you haven't seen me on here before. So I'll still be around, I'll still be doing stuff, but I'll be doing stuff in a different form as well. And I look forward to as many of you that can support me in that coming over onto Patreon. I will announce it again within the next week. I'll come up here again and bring another video out. And I'll let you know when I'm on there. Anyway, enough waffling, let's get down to business, so to speak. And the title of the video today is why twin flames trigger flight and fight or fight responses. Why twin flames trigger fight or flight responses. Now, it's really important for me to say that it isn't just twin flames that trigger that. Many big awakening, evolutionary raising of consciousness connections trigger fight or flight, panic, like trauma-like responses, survival responses. But for the purposes of this video, we'll say why do twin flames do it particularly, so I'll get into that in a moment. But also it does apply to other connections. Also it applies to the general population. A member of the general population going through an awakening experience, going through a connection with a catalyst or a twin flame or a soulmate or somebody that's very close to their signature and frequency and consciousness, if they're being triggered, why does this happen? Why does it trigger fight or flight? So the easiest way to describe it is on this planet, beautiful planet Earth, beautiful Gaia, we have for generations and for a very long time, let's say relied on, and it's like a knee-jerk response on a fight or flight survival thing. So fight or flight, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, if a huge great bear was to come lumbering across the grass at me now, I would have an automatic out of my actual control. It would be a knee-jerk response of adrenaline rush. Probably my stomach would roll over. Probably I'd go either break out into a sweat, feel a surge probably of energy to run for my life to escape from the bear. It would be so fast, an automatic response, that it would be a survival thing. Hence it's like fight or flight. You know, either you're going to defend yourself against the bear, or you're going to run for the hills, you're going to hide under the bed or whatever if the bear's trying to get in. Or there is another aspect to this, there's fight, flight or freeze, actually, where you just freeze rigid with fear and horror. But it's a huge response in the body, and that's why it's known as fight or flight, running for the hills, or actually, you know, or freeze, you know, freezing up. So why would an awakening connection with someone, why would a twin flame aspect of you in another human body, why would a soulmate, why would a catalyst, why would a spirit connection, why would an essence connection, why would a soul connection, why would a conscious connection, why would an awakening experience trigger the bejesus out of you? Why would it make you want to fight, punch up? Why would it make you want to freeze with fear, terror? Or why would it make you want to run for the hills? In humans, there is this basic response, knee-jerk response, survival response. You fight, run, or freeze in order to live, to survive the trauma that's coming, to survive the fear that's coming, to survive the predator, if you like. It's an automatic response that's been there for a very long time. And there are actually, on another note, but linked to this, many things in our culture. I'm speaking for the Western world now, living in the Western world, but there are many things in the culture that almost, let's say, in order to manipulate humanity, kind of encourage those fight and flight responses. So they're in there anyway, on a very basic human level, a survival level, you know, in order to live. But that kind of fear response and that kind of playing on that is very much encouraged in the programming of Western society, you know, that you get through many of the education systems and societies and the political societies and the structures, etc. I mean, I could talk about that all day, but that's very much encouraged. But it's a knee-jerk response. So the reason it triggers like hell when you are going through an awakening or you've met someone that triggers this, well, let's start from the top and I'll work my way down. So if you've met a twin flame, for definition of this video, an aspect of you within another human body, why that would potentially and can potentially and does nearly every single time send you into a trauma response or a fight for survival or a run for the hills or a freeze is because it triggers that human response. It triggers the human instinctive response because the energy field, or you as a soul, knows that something has, the only way I can explain it, has got in. Now, what do I mean has got in? It sounds quite sinister, doesn't it? Like a horror movie. It's kind of breached your so-called normal boundaries, normal in personality, normal life boundaries. And because of an, let's say, an energy connection, because of projection, because of reflection, them reflecting back to you, them projecting stuff at you projecting it at them, that all comes in on top of your survival response anyway, the fight and flight response. And why it gets triggered even more so, ups its game, is because all the normal defense mechanisms and places to hide behind are gone. It's straight in, whack, straight into the heart, straight into the energy field, straight in. And although that does and can feel absolutely beautiful, the body doesn't always interpret it like that, and nor does your personality. And actually, that's not a bad thing it doesn't interpret it like that, because that's your survival. That's your survival mechanism. So it's not wrong that you've got the survival mechanism, but it's almost like it knows something has just passed through your tripwire, gone through the tripwire, passed through your protection around you and has gotten in. And that sets off a huge kind of panic, because you will rightly interpret something different's happened here. My usual defense mechanisms aren't working. They seem to know me instantly better than I know myself, and I seem to know everything about them. So there's nowhere to hide. I can't use my normal defense mechanisms. I can't hide behind anything they're in, so to speak. And you can interpret that on many levels as a form of attack, like something's got in, like an immune response, like a contaminant. You know, it's a crazy thing of putting it, but this is how the body responds. This is how the energy field sometimes responds. Something's happened here, something very different. And actually, on another note here, is you will also, you know, pick it up on that way if it's a negative V kind of connection, so a connection that's not what it seems, also kind of like a predator connection, or what I call a camouflage connection. You could call it a false kind of twin flame if you like, you know, that kind of thing. Also triggers these kind of things. So no matter what end of the spectrum, you know, the good, the bad or the ugly, so to speak, that's a Western, isn't it? The good, the bad or the ugly, it will still stimulate and trigger this kind of thing. So you'll have a response like that. So nowhere to hide. The normal response of the fight and flight is triggered anyway, fight, flight or freeze. Also because you will pick up that, hold on a minute, I know that they know, it's like seeing through their eyes, me seeing through them seeing through my eyes. They know there's nowhere to hide, and although you would think that that would sound beautiful, it's actually, as a human being, it's bloody terrifying. It's terrifying to when there is so much unresolved stuff within the human personality and the human psyche, of being that transparent, that vulnerable. So the average human being, the average human female, the average human male, the average feminine energy, the average masculine energy is going to react one of three ways. Again, they're either going to fight their corner, defend. Sometimes they don't even know what they're defending really their space and their boundary, which has suddenly been eclipsed by a process of osmosis. There's suddenly been, whoa, how has this happened? So they're going to fight it, or they're going to run for the hills. They're going to run like hell. They're going to jump back, be afraid, or they are going to freeze like a rabbit caught in the headlight. Now, how this is essentially resolved, the question is looking within oneself at what the fears are that are coming up and what the terror, and I use the word not lightly because it is on that level, it's terror. When it's on a soul level like that, when it's got right in, when you've connected spiritually like that, if there is stuff triggering like crazy there, it's not on a sort of blasé level, it's really quite strong. It's a question of looking at what's being triggered and then understanding why. Now, you'll only get so far with that because you will easily see if you start looking, oh yeah, that's this in my life, this is reminding me of that, this is reminding me of this. Sometimes you'll need to be very discerning here and look carefully and say, are my fight or flight responses going like crazy? Because deep down my gut feeling and my red flags are going here is because I know that person is not what they're pretending to be. I know something's not right here. You must always listen to your discernment. Always listen to your gut feeling. So it can be that. It's a question of looking what is being triggered there. Now, you will get so far with that, so the obvious first place to look is in this lifetime stuff. Look in the catalogue of this lifetime's experiences and sift through where it's coming from, what is making you hook into a particular emotion there, just apart from all the other things I've said that's going on. The reason I said you'll only get so far is if you have genuinely and are genuinely going through an awakening experience which makes the unconscious conscious, which is raising, let's say, the polarized material to bring it into a unified, neutral, 0 point field, really, a point of balance. If it's a genuine awakening connection, whatever the name is on that, whether it's twin flames, whether it's soulmates, catalysts, etc., you will also probably, well, I say will, you may be aware, you may not be aware, that also what is being triggered and why the fight, flight, freeze response is going crazy is because there is a detection, if you like, by you as a soul, you as an essence energy, spirit energy, and a memory, if you like, let's call it a solar memory, a cellular memory, of all the times that particular response or that particular theme that this person is stimulating and triggering in you has been visited before. So what I mean in plain speaking is if you come into contact with a twin flame, a soulmate, a catalyst, an awakening connection, matching consciousness, the list goes on and on. You have within your soul, within your theme, within your essence energy, within your blueprint, within your mapping, on a very deep level, coming from the top all the way down into the human experience, a theme of abandonment, not just in this life, in all the recorded history of you as a soul, as a spirit, as an essence, all timelines, all realities, all at the same time, all experience, every single theme of abandonment. When you're going through an awakening experience in this reality, that can get and does get triggered. So in other words, you can be triggering the abandonment here, now, that you're and not even be aware of it. I'm hoping you'll become aware of it as a result of this video. But it will also be rippling out, if you like, and reminding you of when abandonment's happened in all realities, all timelines, all existences of you as consciousness, with the idea of giving you the heads up and making the conscious, unconscious, conscious. And there are things you can do about it. There are clues to this on my YouTube channel, which has all been provided freely to help you with it. There is a core soul wound video on there. I go through a specific exercise with you to help you with that, to free that up. The common places, again, I'm going to revisit again to say it again. Common places to look are things like that theme. So we call it a core soul wound. Looking at that theme, there is a video on my channel that can help you with that, the core soul wound video. Looking at childhood stuff in this life, inner child stuff, now can release it and release the whole ripples, if you like. The core soul wound can release it in this reality and ripple out, if you like. They're the obvious places to look. So inner child stuff, core soul wound stuff, and then of course there are the archetypal clouds of programming around us. So I call them clouds because I see them clairvoyantly, if you like clouds. So there are numerous programs that come in on the top of this fight, flight response, fight, flight or freeze, which would be the URL program, which is Unrequited Love program. You can loop in through your programming in this reality to that cloud. You can loop into a codependency cloud. Whoop, there's another loop hooked into that. You can loop into numerous clouds, and these programs are identified on my YouTube channel. There's one on there called the Unrequited Love program, the URL. There's one in there called codependency. All of these programs and archetypal clouds, if you like, come in on top of it. So it makes one great big melting pot of stuff coming from different directions. And how you unpick it, you do not have to unpick every stitch in that tapestry. All you have to do is unpick a few threads of it for the whole lot to go open up. Just one or two stitches can do it. You don't have to spend ages going through every last detail, just one or two things, because there are, what I keep saying over and over again on the channel here, when we are in the existing consciousness as we are now, we make loops, synapses, circuits from what is happening now and our emotional experience of that, our human experience of it, to what happened, let's say, before. We loop with our emotions to it, and what gets us hooked in and create its own circuit and its own little paradigm in a way is the unresolved, shall we say, the unresolved material within us, or emotion within us, or trace of it within us that hooks to that. So let me simplify it again. I don't want to go on too long because this video is getting too long, but to simplify it again, let's keep it simple. Somebody with a really bad back, history of a really bad back for a very long time, has people come into a life, or is watching programs on, or connecting with other people that have really bad backs, and even if the really bad back in that individual is gone or a thing of the past, by empathizing, sympathizing with the people that she's in contact with a bad back, if her emotions about a bad back are, you know, oh my God, or OMFG, I don't ever want to feel that again, I'm petrified of feeling that again, I'm really scared it's going to happen to me, that unresolved fear response in her can link to the bad back in the other person, for example, and create a loop where she can actually not only recreate that happening again in her, but the fear of it just creates a kind of circuit, a synapse, a loop, by linking into that. So it kind of creates and recreates a pattern, sometimes over an old pattern, sometimes a new pattern. So there's a lot of stuff going on there as well. So you can see where I'm going with this. There's a lot of stuff going on. So you have to start really at the grassroots, or right down at the We can come from the woo-woo, the essence level. I like to start from the top and come down, but we have to bring it down into how we're actually keeping these energy patterns running as human beings. Of course, none of us are doing it on purpose. It's a kind of this knee-jerk habitual response that none of us knew we were doing, is start in the obvious places that I've suggested. And if you are going through an awakening in any form whatsoever, whether it's been stimulated by someone else, a connection, or it's been stimulated not by anyone else, just by a life-changing event, just suddenly out of left field, for whatever reason, if you're going through that, the obvious places to look for the stuff that's coming up are the places I've suggested. Now, just to come in lastly on top of that, on top of all of that, at this point in our evolution, we're not just processing that stuff for us. We're processing it for the families that we're in, blood families and soul families, for the town, village, city, country and world, planets that we are on. So every single person that's going through that transformational process is actually doing it on behalf of the collective. So everyone that's going through dealing with this sort of stuff, as they make the unconscious more conscious, they are actually doing it on behalf of everybody, because it's that 100 monkey kind of thing. Enough people doing that on the planet tips the balance, so it goes over to mass collective consciousness. So every little stitch in that tapestry, you as an individual stitch, a unique expression of consciousness that does that, is helping the overall tapestry. You're overall helping the fight and flight and trauma response within humanity. That's another level to what is going on here. We are totally in the land of the micro and macro now, and have been for some time. Everything that is being brought down into unique expressions of consciousness, i.e. you, is having a direct effect on absolutely not only everyone that you are aware of being connected in your life, but a much bigger picture than that, the collective consciousness per se. On that note, I'll love you and leave you, because I cannot believe that we're into nearly 37 minutes already. That went quick. So take care. I'll be back on camera again soon, because I've got some more announcements and that to make, and some more stuff to put out, and I'll tell you, probably be next week, the details on how to find me on Patreon, and there'll be other exciting things as well. So I'm really looking forward to I've got quite a buzz about what I'm going to be doing next. But for those of you that have been with me all this time on YouTube, have no fear. I'm not suddenly going to disappear from YouTube and not be out here. I'm going to be doing things slightly differently, but I'll still be putting stuff out. There'll still be free content there. And I'm restructuring things as we speak for a number of reasons, both for my own evolution, your evolution, but also because it's something that's overdue and needed, and I have to be mindful of what's going on with my own evolution here and my own health. So on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you for watching. Thanks for resonating if you did. Thank you for subscribing. Thanks for supporting me as the channel. For those of you that have donated, from my heart to yours, thank you. And for those of you that are yet to donate and that are thinking about it and that are going to donate, from my heart to yours, thank you. See you again soon. I love you and leave you. Bye.